So we're going to be watching this video called The Rogansphere is Rapidly Falling Off by the American Redact. I only seen a couple minutes of it, but we'll just start it right now. Let's see what's up with it. Let's go.
That would be like me being on Joe Rogan. Joe don't want me on there. I need to be on Shannon. Joe got 6 comedians that never been funny. He want to push out.
Alright, so now that it's officially December, I think it's finally safe to say that 2025 has been the most destructive year for the comedians in the so-called Rogansphere. Guys like Andrew Schulz, Tony Hinchcliffe, Bert Kreischer, Brendan Schaub, and of course Joe Rogan himself, they've all taken such a massive hit to their
I would say, yeah, probably this has been their worst year, but every other year has been pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? If you subscribe to these channels, they're always cranking up a certain type of content. And it's never like, oh, Joe Rogan. People like Joe Rogan right now because of this thing. Right? It's always going to be some sort of bad thing. And that's the truth, right? Nobody's saying right now, like, oh, Joe Rogan's doing pretty good.
Reputations this year that literally no one takes them seriously anymore. Not just as comedians, but as people in general. Like they've all been Brendan Schaubified, so to speak, as the majority of their audiences have
I think what American Redact is trying to say is that they're now locals. Brendan Schaub, for the longest, has been a local. I think the thing about being called a local is now you are really have been fully submerged into the internet.
Started hate watching their content rather than genuinely enjoying it as they did before. And now, whenever you hear one of their names come up, your brain doesn't immediately think of anything positive. Long story.
Well, if you're watching a certain channel like American Redact, when is he ever going to put out anything positive for any comedian? It's always going to be something negative, right? American Redact is not going to be like, well, Joe Rogan actually put out a great special, right?
Story short, it became mainstream this year to clown on these guys. Even their own friends in the comedy world don't respect them, and have actually comfortably joked about how corny they all are all year without consequence. I mean, just last week, the comedian Nick Mullen was on Skankfest in New Orleans, speaking about a recent conversation he had with Tony Hinchcliffe, where he essentially tried to tell Tony in the nicest way possible that him and all his comedy goons have ruined the city of Austin. Also, just a side note, I believe
They ruined it, right? They're the ones. And that could be part of it, right? I mean, somebody could... I mean, maybe it's just me, but... A certain city or a certain county could get ruined by certain people, yeah, of course, right? But to hear about it... And then you hear about, oh yeah, who ruined that city? It's like, oh yeah, a bunch of comedians, man. They're terrible. They totally ruined the whole town with their shitty jokes. The town is now, it's horrible because of what they did for not being funny. It's a funny thing, even as a joke itself, to be like, there are a bunch of these goons. These goons that think that they're funny and then they messed up a whole town because they thought they were funny. They thought they were funny and they moved in, right?
Believe this was a live streamed event, so just bear with all the technical difficulties they had as Nick Mullen was speaking.
Have you been back to Austin since?
I have, yeah. It's not it sucks now. I was trying to tell, I saw Tony Hinchcliffe the other day, and I was trying to say that to him in a nice way.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, yeah, you know, it used to be, it was a cheap, fun town. He's like, yes, totally. It's an awesome place. I'm like, no, I'm saying.
But he's like, totally. When I came here, it was so fun. It was the most funnest place I've been since LA. I don't think everybody's going to say that after they freaking moved from LA to Texas.
It was. It was cool. I mean, it was a cheap place to live, and he's like, greatest place on earth. Love it. I'm like, yeah, but it's different now.
In a better way. It improved.
Yeah.
It got stronger.
Yeah, I'm like,
all right.
Nick Mullen's a weird guy.
When I would be like, I was like, yeah, people from LA came and ruined it, and he's like, yeah.
Which is funny is like speaking about the people that came from LA, which is Tony. Everybody that came from LA moved to Texas because of who? That one person, that one muscular man, that man that loves hunting deer. You know, Joe Rogan. We all did it for him. And then, yeah. What is Tony trying to say? Like, yeah. But besides me, I was still making the city great, right? But then when these other weirdos came in, they made it even worse. It's like, I think some of the locals might say that you messed it up because you brought in some people in here, right? I mean, like, come on, let's be honest. Comedians, people that are trying to be comics, comedians, a weird bunch. Let's just be honest about that, right?
Where did you move from? That is the funny thing though about like the LA comics that moved to Austin, and they're like they want to get away from LA, but it's like then you've now turned this into,
You turned that into
Yeah.
you turned it into LA
With no ocean.
yeah, right.
Yeah. And demanding bums.
So as you just heard there, Tony Hinchcliffe was completely oblivious to the fact that Nick Mullen was referring to him in that convo, which seems to perfectly encapsulate one of the reasons why people have begun bashing on these guys so much more recently. Like, it's one thing to platform some of the worst comedians alive, but what makes the whole thing so much worse is that they actually think that they're blessing the comedy world somehow, and that all the criticism they get is from people who are just jealous of their success.
Your identity gets too wrapped up in conflict, and it's just like super unhealthy.
Well,
super
we know
unhealthy
people
for you.
our age who are still doing that shit.
Of course. Don't
Comics.
Mark Maron, don't say it.
I mean, I don't get it. You know, I'm like, I don't know.
I get it. He's sad.
Yeah. It's like, you're all the same age. Mark Maron is also probably the same age as you, Joe Rogan, right? And Brian Callen as well. Y'all are some old ass MFers that just like to complain a lot. And look, we're here for it, right? Like, hey, that's allowed. Go ahead, complain. You're gonna complain about how LA was bad and now how Texas is good. Go ahead and do it. Just do it. You know, nobody's saying anything else. But the thing is that you're gonna bring in the same amount of problems to Texas. And you know what I'm saying? It's like deja vu, as they like to say. Maybe I'm wrong.
He's sad. He wants other people to hurt. That's what it is.
It's just not charitable. It's
well, it's also he's pathologically jealous.
Like, sure, they're successful.
Joe Rogan saying that Mark Maron is pathologically jealous of who? Rogan? Of who? Of Callen? Of who? Of which successful Texas community is he talking about? Mark Maron. I think just the thing about with Mark Maron, like I've said before, is that Mark Maron is just like another old dude who likes to just talk shit and likes to get a rise out of people, right? For sure, he's not trying to get anybody into a fight. Like, you think that Mark Maron wants to fight Joe Rogan for like the bragging rights of comedy or something like that? No, man. Like, Mark Maron just says it so he can get attention like everybody else, right? Like,
And their finances haven't taken a hit this year, but just because they capitalized on the lowest mouth-breathing section of society doesn't really make them the comedy gods that they think they are. It's almost like they all believe that their financial success correlates to their comedic ability, but it really doesn't. The only people that treat them like innovators are the same people who think yelling slurs.
well, what do we think we're doing right now online, right? It's the person that we favor. Certain people are going to favor Joe Rogan. They think he's funny. I think he was funny a while back. Like, as a comedian, as a guy that can do stand-up, I think his older stand-up is way better than his most recent stand-up that he brought out. Mark Maron, still funny. What the new stuff he brings out recently and how he observes how other comedians are, he can pinpoint certain problems, but it's also funny because it's true. It's like that certain thing, right? But Joe takes it as like, you're just making fun of me and you're making fun of my friends, but you gotta understand that that's how the internet also sees it as, right? They'll take it that certain way. That's the beauty about it. We all have our own opinions about certain things, right? And we can debate on it.
Is peak comedy. All the people who don't classify themselves as MMA Kill Tony superfans are just watching this whole ecosystem rot from the inside out. So as I said before, a lot of comedians have picked up on the overwhelming amount of clownery surrounding the guys in the Rogansphere, and in turn have started clowning them themselves out. So as I said, superfans are just watching this whole ecosystem rot from the inside out. So as I said before, a lot of comedians have picked up on the overwhelming amount of clownery surrounding the guys in the Rogansphere, and in turn have started clowning them themselves. Stavros Halkias.
I think it's the power of the internet now. Now with the new modern comedians, they have to kind of sort of pay attention to the internet, or forcibly pay attention to it, and they'll see it regardless, right? And they can't avoid it. And if you do manage to avoid it, you're the one that's usually called weak, and you can't take the heat. You can dish it out, but you can't take a certain type of person.
His podcast, for example, has become a haven for making fun of the Rogansphere, because if there's a funny joke to be said, it will be said. And Stavros doesn't really save anyone from getting dunked on. I mean, just the other day, a guy who's friends with all the hacks in the Roganverse, Joe List, openly mocked Andrew Schultz and the really exaggerated fake laugh that he does on Flagrant, which was quite possibly the most accurate impression of the year.
The thing about the laugh is that everybody knows that. That's just that's what they call like meta, right? That's some meta stuff right there.
There's certainly no shortage of white guys talking like black people.
Yeah.
That's true. That is true.
You talking about Andrew Schultz?
Podcasters. Tale as old as time. The white boy that,
I did it. I've done this.
Andrew Schultz is another one of those guys whose reputation's taken a massive beating recently, and that's entirely his own fault. Like this entire year, Andrew Schultz has exposed himself as the biggest grifting sellout of all time, not only because he happily accepted blood money from the Saudi Arabian government in exchange for a heavily censored, government-sanctioned comedy set in Saudi Arabia, but also because of the fact that he thinks of himself as a political journalist now, a title that he shamelessly gave himself in the New York Times interview he did a few months ago, which is pretty pathetic once you learn that he has absolutely no idea what he's talking about when it comes to politics. And really all he does is glaze Donald Trump to no end, which I guess kind of worked when Trump was running for president, but now that he's in office and is impacting hundreds of thousands of families across America by the day, the shtick has completely fallen flat. Like even Schultz's co-host Charlemagne the God had to step in to put a stop to the meat riding just a couple weeks ago when Schultz was saying how funny it was when Trump put out that AI-generated video of him dumping sewage on protesters at the No Kings rally.
For my father to physically go to as a Republican, to go to a protest, very significant. And the fact that then, this guy releases a AI video of him shitting on people's heads.
That shit was fun.
Whatever. I mean,
yo, what's funny? We were talking
shit
about
on my
this,
parents' head is not funny.
but your dad wasn't in the video.
Okay. Well,
what are you talking about? Shitting your dad's head?
That's not becoming of a president. You don't want that.
None of it is becoming.
It's garbage.
Here's the problem.
It's garbage.
Here's the problem. Trump just got a thing where he's funny. It is what it is. We all acknowledge this. He's funny, so he gets away with shit that most people can't get away with because he's funny. When I see the other politicians doing,
I'm not gonna. Here's the thing, guys. I'm not gonna try to, defend Schultz here, but I think most of the time, Schultz's bit is to be provocative. He wants to get you to be upset. He wants you to be mad at him, right? He is, in what you call in professional wrestling, a heel, right? He's the bad guy, and he's playing the bad guy. Maybe there is a slight chance that this is really him as an individual, as a person. Right, he believes wholeheartedly that he fully, what do they call it, full throated. He endorses Donald Trump, right? But I remember a couple months back when all the shit was happening, he was like, "Hey, I didn't expect he was gonna do this. I don't like this. I'm not for it." And I think sometimes where certain people forget, or they forget certain dynamics when you're in a show, is that one person is the good guy, one person is the bad guy, one guy is the straight guy. There's certain themes, and whenever I see brilliant idiots or whatever, like you already hear the name, right? Brilliant idiots, right? It's such a, what do you expect from the show? You expect a brilliant guy and another brilliant guy to talk. It's a goofy show, right? You're gonna go on Flagrant, you're gonna go on all these other podcasts, and you're gonna expect some sort of shenanigans to happen. And for you or anybody to think that this dude's being serious, I think you should take it probably like halfway. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Don't take it fully serious. Like, of course, if everybody agrees that the content that Donald Trump did and shit on everybody, doing that AI stuff, and if he also is like, "Hey, yeah, I don't like that," then you're just gonna move on, right? There isn't any content there. There isn't anything to bait anybody about, like rage bait anybody about. It's a tosser, right? You're gonna, yeah, we don't like it, boom, let's go to another one, boom, let's go to another one. Like, I hate this guy, boom, boom, boom. What Andrew Schultz is trying to do is trying to get some certain people in there, and then other certain people to be like, "Man, I hate this guy," right? And then they're gonna talk, they're gonna put it in the comments like, "I hate this guy, he's fucking stupid," right? But that's what he wants, right? You gotta also remember, this is the sort of the game that people play, is to bait other people. And it's like professional wrestling, man. Like, the bad guy, if he's such a good bad guy, man, that you forget that this, wrestling scripted, then they they got you. You just bought in, right? They sold you something. And Andrew, maybe he's so good right now, where being a certain person that really tries to, bat for Donald Trump, like it really annoys people, right? But don't take it so seriously, because this show is called Brilliant Idiots. Just remember, that's it. Oh, let's just keep watching this shit and see where it goes from there, right?
It just comes across so cringe. I don't think that they're getting the benefit.
What are you talking
He's
about?
very cringe. That's why the only one it works for is Gavin, because Gavin is actually letting people know I'm mimicking him.
It's funny how Schultz has somehow landed himself in the position where he's grifting both to the rap community and to the Trump supporters at the same time. Like, that literally just describes him perfectly. And now that a lot of the comedy world has become aware of his two-faced nature, his reputation has fallen deep into the gutter. But hey, at least he's gonna milk this Akash Singh drama for all it's worth, because this is the most attention that podcast has gotten since they interviewed Donald Trump. I mean, I guess they're releasing a podcast today where they're supposedly gonna address the whole Jaslene thing, but you don't even have to watch that to know that it's gonna be one big nothing burger.
Let's just get right into it.
Yeah. Yes.
Which frat party should my daughter avoid? I have a 2-year-old daughter. Which frat party should she not go?
It's such a funny thing too. It's like, American Redact, you expect the Flagrant. Flagrant is, yeah. Let me tell you about Flagrant. It's such it's a great show, man. They have the greatest questions for the guest out there. You're playing yourself here, bud. Anybody here, anybody else, like anybody that's listening to me right now, after all these videos that these guys have made about Andrew Schultz, at Akash, you guys are gonna take these guys' words like professionally or have a a, a major meaning. This is just pure, like brain rot entertainment at best. You're gonna, yeah. Who goes to Flagrant and expects to have such an educational time, right? Nah. Unless they have maybe like a UFC fighter there, there's certain things, certain point of views, or certain actors or whatever, certain things, right? But most of the time, it's for shits and giggles, and if you expect any more than that, then I think you're playing yourself, guys. Like, don't let American Redact make you think that, Flagrant, the Flagrant podcast is a place to be to get really educated and for you to understand the world out there. I don't understand, right? Like, I don't get it. I don't go to Flagrant to be like, yeah, man, like, I'm smarter now because I listened to that one episode of Flagrant. No, it's like watching Tiger Belly and being like, well, Bobby Lee, he really taught me some things about comedy, and doesn't make any sense. What do you expect?
Go to.
Shy should avoid Teak because they definitely. Why?
They make you pop that thing crazy or what?
No, because they spike the drink.
No way.
Yeah, so they got kicked off of our campus.
No
for
way.
Doing that. Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Popping pussy.
Yeah.
Let's just get some definition.
Okay.
We're gonna any terms that you might need to know the actual meaning of. Alex is here to break
be
it
fair,
down.
I thought it was just like dancing, getting dressed up, and maybe that was my mistake.
Yeah.
So I acknowledge that.
Look at this. Big one.
Yeah, the act of getting dressed up, looking fly as hell, wearing a minimum of 3-inch heels, preferably higher, and dancing your ass off
Urban
into the
Dictionary
wee hours of the morning.
is
That was
made
what
by
I
a
was
white
doing.
man.
Yeah, this is white people.
Look, I'm gonna tell you guys, all this Akash saying with his girl, well, his wife, I guess, I didn't want to watch any of that. It made me sad. Anybody that breaks it down for you guys and breaks certain things down and their relationship, and like certain things, and I understand, like, hey, yeah, they're in this religious relationship, spiritual relationship. I know, because I'm an atheist. You're not gonna get me with all that bullshit, okay? And I don't want to. Not sorry about calling your religion bullshit or anything like that, but there's certain things when you're religious you don't talk about what she talked about, what Akash Singh's wife talked about, and how sexual she was and all that stuff. That's just like a huge disrespect for him. I don't even think that he even, when he talked about her, he talked to her in that certain way. He never talked about cheating on her. He never talked about other women's genitalia, but she did. And I don't want to divulge into that, because then you're gonna see like how my bias in religion is, because I'm an atheist. Like, obviously, like, I'm gonna roll my eyes on that certain thing, right? And that's why I avoided it. That's why I'm telling you guys now, so you guys understand, like, because I know there was a lot of content about that, like Akash Singh and his wife, talking through the worst shit ever. I avoided it. I didn't want to react to it. I mean, I watched the videos about it, but I avoided it because I knew it was just a train wreck. And honestly, I felt bad for Akash, right? Because at the end, these guys were saying like, "Oh, well, then kiss Akash in front of everybody here," and she was like, "Oh, that's not my thing. I don't like to kiss people in public." It's like, and then they said like to shit on his friend, shit on their friend is like, "Well, you kiss your dog in public, and you don't have a problem with that. What's wrong with kissing Akash?" That's just like you're cooked. You're bacon. And you don't want to be bacon if you're if you're what are the Sikh, and well, whatever. Let's just go on. I'm gonna end that conversation right now.
Definition of it. This is what you learn.
So that whole thing just stinks of the fact that they're probably going to joke about it and then call everybody incels, and of course take Akash's side, which is actually pretty disappointing. Like, Akash Singh has become the laughingstock of the internet, and it looks like he's going to drag the Flagrant podcast down with him as well, because no matter what they say today, it won't take away from what everyone already thinks of Akash. And deep down, Akash is incredibly butthurt and sensitive about the whole thing too. So yeah, the Flagrant podcast,
I think either it passes the whole situation, it's gonna be we're gonna move on. The internet's gonna move on from that unless Akash's wife, I forgot her name, Jasmine or Jaslyn or whatever her name is, if she keeps making shit worse, then people are going to clip it. They're going to be still talking about it.
just seems like it won't ever be the same again, which could actually be the final blow to Schultz's reputation, as the guy was already skating on thin ice before the whole Akash thing blew up. I mean, if you've seen the Flagrant podcast subreddit recently, then you know that it's essentially just a hotspot for all Akash Singh related events. But even before that, it was becoming more of a snark page like the Fighter and the Kids subreddit than an actual page where the fans discuss the podcast. So if anyone's experienced...
It's been like that since Andrew Schultz went political. When Andrew Schultz did a whole lot of political shit, it started to shift that way. Before then, I used to go on to the Reddit and it'll be just like, oh, watch this clip that was the funniest out of the week on Flagrant, or like a schedule, like Flagrant's gonna be on this day or whatever. That's usually what it was. And now it's just like, yeah, like how American Redact, like it's just like how it's just like how American Redact said, it's just like the Fighter and the Kid subreddit, which is like we're gonna post some clips that are making fun of you, or certain things about you, or certain things about what's happening in your life or your situation. Usually, well, right now, prominently, it's Akash and his wife because of the whole situation there. But that's what happens. Like, a lot of these subreddits, they get that. It happens to the best of them, you know what I'm saying?
Experiencing the Brendan Schaub effect the most, it's the Flagrant guys. But if we're going to keep mentioning Brendan Schaub, then I think it's only right to give a small update on his pretty depressing new life in Austin. Because it's almost been 5 months since he made his move to Austin, and every day since then has gotten even more miserable than before. And now, in December of 2025, Brendan Schaub is essentially at the saddest point in his career as an entertainer, as he's basically just faded away into irrelevance. Like, he's become such a nobody at this point that Joe Rogan is finally comfortable having him at the mothership. But just the other week, he appeared as a guest on a...
Where does he get that from? From an insider? Joe Rogan, somebody told Joe Rogan, like, yeah, Brandon, he gets it now. People make fun of him, so let's just put him on the comedy mothership. Right? Like, is that what happens? It's like, oh, Yeah, Brendan, we didn't want to put him on before, but now, he's less sensitive now that people are making fun of him. Maybe he's right. Maybe, actually, you know what? Maybe listening to it myself about talking about it in that way, maybe that could be true. Maybe he'll just accept being made fun of and the butt of the joke, and because of that, Rogan is gonna be like, yeah, just invite him onto the Rogansphere because he likes, he does self deprecation. He does self deprecate. He makes fun of himself now. Self deprecation humor. Like who would have thought that Brendan would do that, right? Not me.
An episode of Story Wars, and it happened to be so boring that not even Podcast Cringe covered it, which says a whole lot. Like, all Brendan Schaub did was laugh when everyone else laughed, and mimicked the hell out of Matt McCusker. The only clips worthy of sharing is when he went onto his podcast after and cackled at the idea that he had ever been banned from the mothership, even though Joe Rogan and even Brendan Schaub himself admitted that he was banned from the mothership way back when he was still cosplaying as a stand-up comedian.
No, I think he said that he wasn't banned. There was never like, yeah, Rogan told me I was banned. I think what Brandon said is like, I can't sell. I can't sell as well as other comedians.
There's a lot of money in those bullshit headlines.
Yeah, man.
Like there was one on me. It was like Brendan Schaub banned from the mothership, and then I did a show there last Thursday. Like, well, not banned, but he can only do this one. Now he's banned again. Especially now.
I heard there was a rumor you were banned from the mothership. Was that the online rumor that you were?
Imagine?
That you were? Hold on. Banned from the mothership.
Hey, can you imagine?
Did Joe Rogan ban you? Is that what I read on the internet? Hey guys, thanks so much for the edification.
Yeah.
I guess he was unbanned.
Yeah. Yeah, banned.
You were banned, huh?
Can you imagine?
Brendan Schaub apparently has been banned by Joe Rogan.
Whatever we
has
are,
to be a standard. Someone
there
has to
be
have
a fucking standard.
So that's like the same thing you'll see in my comments or maybe in yours on Reddit. Like, oh, why aren't you playing the mothership, Brendan? I don't deserve to be there. And me and Rogan have had this conversation. I'm not there yet. There's guys like you, like to me, and I'm not just saying, Big J's one top 5 doing it right now. So, yeah. But so I shouldn't be there. I don't want to go there and get backlash.
I think what Brendan is saying there is good, right? Because Brandon is like, hey, look, I don't even deserve to be at the comedy mothership when there's all these other guys that are way better than me. During when people are on there that are way better than me, I'm gonna bring the show down. I'm not the best comedian, right? And I don't want to shit on Joe Rogan's club just because I want to be there. And he also didn't force Rogan to invite him there, right? He's like, I'm not putting myself there. I'm not putting myself in that position. And I think that's good. Let's hear what American Redact's point of view is gonna be about this. I'm curious to see what he's gonna say about it.
Like when they invite me to be a headliner, I'll know it's my time. All right, I don't want to recreate the Comedy Store for me.
It has been a problem though, because there's a lot of people want to come, and some of them are just people are weird, like that want a headline, and that they know, like that you're not really a headliner. Like, what are you talking about?
When he actually considered himself a stand-up comedian, he was not invited to the mothership. But now that his life is so irrelevant...
Well, he said nothing there, right? He said nothing about it. American Redact didn't say anything about those clips that he just showed, because it could just confirms that, yeah, Rogan didn't invite him on because he's not a headliner. And I bet you when he does appear, like when he has appeared on these events or on these shows, he's not the main guy, right? As Joe Rogan said, like there's so many people that want to be on, and then there's so many people that think they're headliners. Well, to Rogan, he thinks otherwise, right? That could be for anybody. Like American Riga just was like, yeah, anyways, let's just go on to another conversation here.
It's pretty safe for him to go there, because in reality, but now that his life is so irrelevant, it's pretty safe for him to go there, because in reality, no one.
So now, because his whole life is irrelevant, Rogan was like, all right, now because now your life is irrelevant, go perform at the mothership. What? 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 What does that even mean? You failed so badly. Now you're nothing. You're not even a headliner. You're nothing. You're barely even a comedian. You're a part-time comedian. But since you're still my friend or whatever, I put you on. What? America, what are you talking about? I don't know, guys. Am I wrong about this, or is this guy just making shit up at this point?
Really cares about him anymore. And as insufferable as Kill Tony, Flagrant, and JRE have become, they at the very least.
Wait a minute. Okay. Were we talking about stand-up performances, and now we're talking about podcasting performances? What? What are you talking about? What? Oh my god. Am I getting like am I not understanding, guys? What do you guys think? Am I the one that's not understanding what American Redact is saying?
Can say that they're still pulling massive numbers. Brendan Schaub, on the other hand, has gotten so desperate at this point that fans are starting to think that he's resorted to scamming his own audience. So yeah, Brendan Schaub has hit bedrock. After all though, the only reason Brendan Schaub is even being featured in this video is because of Joe Rogan, which is really the one guy.
What? Wait a minute. What? What? Brandon Schaub is being featured on this video because Joe Rogan, says American Redact. No, American Redact, you're the one that edited this video. So you can't give anybody the permission to be on this video. You didn't even have to talk about Brandon. But since you wanted to weave in a certain narrative, then this is what your understanding is. I don't understand. Guys, people in the chat, what is this video?
Guy we should talk about right now, because there can't be a video about the Rogansphere without mentioning the Grandmaster himself, because Rogan's really the only reason why anyone even cares about the people previously mentioned in this video. He's also the reason why all of their reputations are tanking as well, as they're all attached to the hip of Joe Rogan. What you may not know though is that Rogan himself is attached to something too, the Alpha Guru Manosphere, which was a really popular wave in the early 2020s, but now that wave is thankfully over.
Okay, why do you have B-roll of, I forgot his name. What's that his name? Andrew. Let me Google his name. I forgot his name. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. So what is so why are you showing B-roll of Andrew Tate? Because I never seen Andrew Tate being in the Roganverse or being part of the Roganverse. Maybe he got into one of the guys from the Roganverse. Are you trying to say that Andrew Tate could be part? I don't understand. Could he be part of the Roganverse? I don't understand this. Like, do you guys understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm confused. I'm really confused, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, right? Like, I'm gonna tell you right now. I've been drinking some vodka, like, pretty much on the rocks. And I don't understand how this guy is trying to make this narrative, trying to connect all the Andrew Tate. What? Andrew Tate? I haven't heard of Andrew Tate until recently. He's having a boxing match, and Rogan hasn't even talked about him. Anybody from the Rogansphere has talked about him. What does he have to do with anything?
People just think of all of them as the biggest jokes of all time, and as a result, he's terrified whenever one of his guests dare mention anything about the Rogansphere or the Manosphere.
Out there in the streets, you should see us. We tell everyone. I get my credits. They go from the Bonfire, Legion of Skanks, and most notably, the Rogansphere.
The Manosphere is a real subject. Like, people believe that it's real. That there's this, like, coalition of men, like, trying to convert young boys into the evil ways of being a man, the Manosphere.
I think that's the same thing as the Rogansphere.
No, the Manosphere, it's like there's levels to it.
Wrong.
Like Andrew Tate's the highest level of the Manosphere.
Right, of course.
Right? That's top G of the Manosphere.
Of course.
If you're like categorizing those things, the thing that you're most terrified of is a guy like Andrew Tate.
Instead of listening to anyone's valid criticism on his impact.
Okay. So from what I'm gathering there is that Rogan is like, I'm not the Manosphere, right? Because Luis J. Gomez was like, aren't you also, isn't it the same thing? And he's like, and Rogan is like, no, it's not. I don't think that way. So what do you mean by that? Like, I've never said anything like that. You guys are confusing the Manosphere with the Rogansphere. The Rogansphere is not that. Right, guys? Isn't that what Rogan is saying? I don't think he's ever been part of the Manosphere. I think some people think that the Rogansphere is the Manosphere, but I don't think they are, because a lot of like comedians, you cannot put them in the Manosphere, like what the Manosphere is, right? And even Rogan is like, he's a father, and he has several daughters, right? So he doesn't think of those certain things because of who he is, right? And of course, like, there's certain weird things about him, but like, I don't think he's has deep dived down enough or really like went down into the trenches to be like, hey, I'm in the Manosphere. No, it's the Rogansphere, which is like the Rogansphere, which is like all these comedians. It doesn't have to do with all these men that are like beta man or whatever it might be, right? Like, no, it's not like that. I think American Redact might be a little confused about that. Maybe, let me know, guys. Let me know in the chat if I'm wrong about it, we'll talk about it, we'll debate on it in the fucking comment section.
Impact on comedy, or even worse, the election. He just plays dumb like Tony Hinchcliffe, and instead he's now occupied his grandpa brain with the wonders of AI. Like there's not a single episode of Jerry that goes by where Rogan doesn't mention his fascination with AI music.
They're taking 50 Cent songs.
I knew you were going to bring that. I heard.
You've heard Many Men, right?
Yeah, it's
Have
incredible.
you heard What Up Gangsta?
No, let me hear
No,
it.
you haven't.
The Many Men one is fantastic.
The Many Men's amazing.
Well, we have gone through this from another episode. I'm gonna just keep letting it play. You guys know how I feel about AI. I don't like it at all. I think AI is terrible for people. I've stopped using AI because honestly, it just makes people lazy. And it makes people believe that AI is better than actual people making art. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Which just shows you how easy it is to impress this guy. I mean, no wonder he finds his friends funny. And so recently, Rogan's actually taken this AI slop obsession even further, where he claimed that Jesus will actually return in the form of AI.
What's more virgin than a computer? So if you're going to get the most brilliant, loving, powerful person that gives us advice and can show us how to live, to be in sync with God, who better than artificial intelligence to do that? Wow. If Jesus does return, even if Jesus was a physical...
Jesus returns and he's a computer, right? Is that what he's trying to say? No, man. I heard Joe Rogan is religious again, or he's a Christian or whatever. But goddamn, this gotta be what they call in the Bible blasphemous. I don't know. Am I wrong? I don't know, Chad. Tell me.
Person in the past, you don't think that he could return as artificial intelligence?
Oh my God.
Artificial intelligence could absolutely return as Jesus. Not just return as Jesus, but return as Jesus with all the powers of Jesus.
Like, oh, you know, funny enough, RoboCop, the movie, the director says it's based off of Jesus, is resurrection. Isn't that interesting? Maybe he heard that similarity and he's just like sort of saying it out loud. Because I've heard that before. Like the creator of RoboCop says that, you know, RoboCop is a symbolism of Jesus because he died the most brutal way, and he was resurrected basically a day or two, same as Jesus. Isn't that fascinating?
Like all the magic tricks, all the ability to bring people back from the dead, walk on water, levitation.
So the fact that this is the dumbest thing Joe Rogan has ever said is actually quite impressive. It's almost as if the AI company that Joe Rogan signed a sponsorship deal with had something to do with it, which would explain a lot. I mean, it's not really a new thing for Joe Rogan to obey to whoever is paying him the most. And he kind of exposed this very phenomenon in his recent Theo Von interview. Because when Theo Von started speaking about things that Joe Rogan clearly had a financial connect with, Joe Rogan seemed to be visibly concerned for his safety, which actually made him push back on Theo Von.
It's sketchy times.
Well, it's sketchy times. I mean, the same company, that company Palantir, that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza, in Gaza, and they were like, you know, running
were they doing?
All the drones and stuff like this, allegedly. If you want to,
What are you talking about? What are you saying they did?
That they had were compiling data on people that were there, and they were operating a lot of the drones in the sky that also had weapons attached to them.
Is this horseshit? Is it real?
Jamie, pull it up. Hey, is Theo Von taking the piss?
Jamie's not even willing to talk on camera. He's
Okay.
just he's giving
I'll be
winks
quiet
and
then.
nods.
But
I'm sure they do.
But we have a
no,
big,
no.
They got a
listen.
big contract in America now, which is scary to me. That's what's scary to me.
Mhm.
That a drone could go by. That maybe that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Who knows? Maybe a drone. You just have no who you can even point the finger at. A bullet comes out of the middle of nowhere.
True.
That's the kind of. I'm not saying
Let
I'm
me push-
paranoid
let me
about it
push
all the
back
time.
against that.
I'm
You're-
just saying I have.
Winks
Quiet
and nods.
then.
I'm
But
sure they do.
But we have a
No.
big.
What were
all
they
the-
doing?
All the that company Palantir that was doing all that crazy stuff in Gaza in Gaza, and they were like, running
were
all
they
the,
doing?
all the drones and stuff like this, allegedly. If you want to,
What are you talking about? What are you saying they did?
that they had were compiling data on people that were there, and they were operating a lot of the drones in the sky that also had weapons attached to them.
Is this horseshit? Is it real? Jamie's not even willing to talk on camera. He's just he's giving
I'll be
winks
quiet
and
then.
nods. I'm sure they do.
But we have a
no,
big,
no.
They got a
listen.
big contract in America now, which is scary to me. That's what's scary to me.
Mhm.
That a
Well, it's Black Mirror. You ever seen Black Mirror, that episode where if you let AI just go crazy, technology has its mistakes. And if you're relying on technology to be this sort of, I guess, discriminatory, then it's not going to be good for anybody. Because eventually, maybe the robots will be like, whoa, you know what? Maybe my programming is not that good and I messed up. And nobody can fix it because I'm a killing machine. Right? You don't want drones to just go off and just blast people out of nowhere without anybody piloting it, because the old drones, they would be like, somebody, they're controlling it. It's a robot, they're controlling it, they're using an Xbox controller. But now it's just like, nothing. Just let it be. Just go ahead and do its magic. But what would happen if there's a defect in it? People are going to wind up getting injured. They're going to be getting hurt. And that's a good point, right?
a drone could go by. That maybe that's what happened to Charlie Kirk. Who knows? Maybe a drone. You just have no who you can even point the finger at. A bullet comes out of the middle of nowhere.
True.
That's the kind of. I'm not saying I'm paranoid about it all the time.
Against that.
I'm just saying I have.
Listen.
Okay. Sorry.
You're right. However, China's making drones. They got me.
However, we gotta win the race first. What? It's like the space race, right? Right. We might lose some people trying to get to space, but who cares if some people get shot by drones? At least we're ahead of it, you know? Like, what are you talking about?
How much longer does Israel let us stay alive, do you think? That's the big question.
Why are they...
What did you say? Is that AI?
What are you saying?
That's Sora?
What the fuck are you saying?
I didn't say anything.
What are you saying?
Huh? Talking about Israel Adesanya.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, at this point, Joseph is past the point of no return, and as a result of that, his comedy pals are too. This was the inevitable ending to it all, though, and really, it's just the result of making the least talented people more successful than they ever should have been. Like, there are other comics in the Rogansphere that weren't mentioned in this video because they're actually skilled and aren't just living off the fleeting fumes of Joe Rogan's butt crack. And their reputations are just fine. You can't really say the same for the others, though. But with that being said, that is it.
But okay, out of the Joe Rogan people that Rogan endorsed, who is it? Andrew Schultz, Theo Vaughn, Bert Kreischer. Who else? You know, it depends on who you think that are, you know, ultimately, like, I guess, like, they're right about certain things, right? I think a lot of people do trust Theo, right? But I think Theo sort of exposing the fact about, hey, I think AI is terrible, and then Rogan being like all in on it, I think it's a good thing because he's combating it, right? It would be different if everybody else, but I mean, certain people will be like, you know, sort of, yeah, like, of course they'll be like, you know, like, I love AI, and you know, you know, whatever you like, Rogan, I like too. But there are certain people that are not gonna be like that, you know. And I think it all depends on how stupid you are to be following a comedian and and uh and sort of listening to the guide they give you, because overall I want to listen to Andrew Schultz or whatever he says. Who does? And you know who does listen to all these dumb people? Other dumber people, right? They're dumber people than you are. There'll never be some educated people that understand what reality is, right? They'll be these conspiracy minded people that still think that the earth is flat, and that, you know, they're they're all paranoid about everything. Um and sure, yeah, who cares, right? We're all being spied on, but at the end of the day though, right? Don't be so worried. Who cares? Let it be. I don't know, guys. Like, I don't know what I'm like. This whole fucking video is just a mess. Like, American Redact, he came off of like being like, oh, you know, these comedians, and then now it's just like, I don't know, man. Like, I think certain people, like, as an individual myself, I wouldn't take anything what they say as any sort of learning knowledge, unless like I've heard, like, this is the first time I ever heard about it. But then I also, like, sort of, you know, of course I'll research it because a smart person does that. I'm gonna be like, you know, if this guy said it, of course, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, you know, he's accurate about it. Like, yeah, he's being like, I'm not gonna be, you know, falsely thinking that somebody's telling the truth. I think it just depends on the person. And American Redact, you know, hopefully some of these people that understand what you're saying is like, you know, don't fall into influencers that are comedians that you like. I don't know. Anyways, I want to let you guys go. This video just got me a headache, but you know, I've been drinking, so I'll tell you that much, guys. I've been drinking a little bit. I've been drinking some Smirnoff. Maybe it's the Russians. You know. But anyways, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys for another video. Like and subscribe. Bye bye.